But the man taking pole position is the championship leader, Grant Johnson. For the second time in a row, the Commodore driver takes the Armour All pole position and $1,000 to the Western Australians Racing Fund.
In race 1 at Hidden Valley, the stage was set for a Ford versus Holden drag race to turn 1. 12
laps ahead in this one, and a couple of former champions on the front row of the grid. Kim Jane on the second row with Chris Pither. So the Holdens are the cars to have at the front. We jump on board with the Kiwi. And the inside's the place to be.
Well, you hear a slight lock up there under brakes as Chris Pither still fighting for Elsgood for second position.
Oh, Kim Jane up over the curb. Craig Dondas just behind. Then it's Andrew Fisher, side by side. Ooh.
Through turn 4, side by side. Smoke off both tyres. And Elsgood holds on for second.
Kim Jane nearly ruined his whole weekend early in the race.
Oh, Jane, big move, bit of contact as well.
Big move, big eyes. You heard the left front, big lock up. Slight contact, though.
Have a look at the damage. Is there any damage to the Kim Jane car? Oh, something flew off there.
The left front tyre is screwed. That's the end of a more aggressive driving.
It looked like a bit of plastic in a guard, but aggressive. We love it.
Giannis Derhams was making his presence felt early.
Nandy Kiss out wide at turn 1. Got a helping hand there, though.
And then a few laps later, he really made an impact.
Giannis Derhams going up the inside. Big lock up.
Oh, bang.
Oh, it was always going to happen. Keep the foot into it. Turn it round.
David Cedars goes around. That was coming for 3 years.
But once again, it was the 2007 Series champ that dominated the race from start to finish.
A quick look in the mirror, but Johnson is home.
Well done, Barrow. Awesome.
And a comfortable margin back to Jack Elsgood, Pither, Jane and Fisher, the top 5. And Scott Jennings, in his 100th, finishes in the top 10.
Well, Grant, congratulations. The winner of the first race here, going into turn 1 here, is always tough. How did you find it?
You didn't have the best of starts. Got a bit of wheel spin off the line, but managed to hold Jack into turn 1 and get away from there, so it was perfect.
Now, race 2 features the reverse grid race, but exactly how many cars will we invert? The answer is 18. So let's have a look at the grid. Brad Patton starts from the front row of the grid alongside Steve Hodges. Reece McNally and Nandy Kiss will start from the second row of the grid. And, of course, with 18 cars flipped around from the results of race 1, that means we've got some slower drivers at the front, faster ones in the middle, and all hell could break loose.
And mix that up with the fact that Holdens are a little bit dominant at Hidden Valley as they stretch the legs of the 6-litre engine versus the Ford. But do you know what? Brad Patton, pole position, got close to his first race win at Winton, came undone right towards the end, but let's hope he can capitalise now on pole position.
David Cedars long way back in 22nd, and Giannis Derhams, who made contact with the Newlon Falcon, received a pit lane penalty. Gary Baxter, a retirement from race 1, and Charlie O'Brien broke an axle, so he will start from 32nd and last. Now, Brad Patton came so close to getting his first race win at Winton. Can he get it done today? Alongside Steve Hodges on the front row of the grid. So it's Holden and Ford, classic rivalry. Watch for the fast guys coming from the middle of the pack. And Steve Hodges has absolutely nailed the start.
Just slaughtered them at the start. Brad Patton, look at this. He has been monstered.
We ride with Craig Dontas, the Thirsty Camel Commodore. Now, 3 into 2. Will it go into turn 1? Hodges is the leader.
It never goes.
Oh, no, it doesn't. Nandy Kiss goes around now.
And boom! Slight airborne by Brad Patton there. And Nandy Kiss still got the brake lights on halfway around turn 1.
We jump aboard with Chris Pither. Whoa, there goes Nandy Kiss again. So 2 contacts in effectively 2 corners.
It's absolutely frantic on the opening lap. Always is. Look at the damage to Brad Patton's car.
DBA in-car with Fisher, contact with Kim Jane, who sneaks around the outside, which is a good move because you're on the inside for the hairpin.
Yes, and if he's not careful, Andrew Fisher is going to allow another car in, which is exactly what's happened. Pither taking the opportunity.
And Jack Elsgood's next as well, but wrong side here. Oh, didn't give him much room there.
Might be all about life for Andrew Fisher, but it's not all about giving the other guy room, is it?
Pacemaker in-car with the champ, the Cooper's Clear Falcon. Yellow flag on display. Oh, that's why Reece McNally had a great start, the young Western Australian. But but he's off the track and having to hook reverse. That's never good.
When we had a look at the track map, I did mention this part of the track. It's slightly off camber, and it's so easy to let the car drift, and you see all the loose rubber there. As soon as you hit that, you drift off, straight off the track into the grass.
So, Hodges leads. Scott Jennings is up to second. That's a great start from 9th on the grid. Kim Jane in the middle of the pack there in the Bob Jane T-Marts Commodore. Charlie Kovacs, the Wilson Security Commodore. And Chris Pither trying to launch a move on Paul Williams.
You can just hear gently with the right foot as he powers down Kim Jane. He's got the pressure.
Oh, Warren Millett, the wake-up Commodore. Greg Willis in the Grow Fruit Juices Falcon. And Giannis Derhams wasn't looking ahead to see what was going on.
Giannis perhaps needed to wake up a bit there and have a look. The yellow flags would have been out, but luckily not too much damage.
Have a look at this. Elsgood in the white Falcon, right with them. He and Andrew Fisher are trying to get by young Paul Williams, the West Aussie, who drives for James Brock's team.
And it's really good to see Paul in and amongst it. 2 years ago when he debuted in the Ford, he showed a lot of promise. When he switched to the Holden, he has struggled a bit, but now, again.
Our leader, race leader, Steve Hodges, won his first race of the year, as I mentioned earlier, in Sydney last year, but he's probably not going to win this one now.
And there's that turn 10 again, off camber. Be careful rejoining.
Oh, Craig Dontis, we had the view with the Century batteries in car, and now that slows the Commodore, and he's got a huge problem here.
Craig Dontis has
got damage to the right front. I'm not sure if he made contact there on the way through, but that's a real shame. They're just getting their head around this Commodore. Steve Owen has been helping them with some testing, but back up front, and Gary McDonald is the man on the move in the Ice Cold Coffee Commodore. He goes on by Scott Jennings to take the lead, and Ryle Harris is right with them.
Again, another performer that we used to see near the front. It's really cool to see Ryle Harris up there bashing mirrors and door handles with the regular front runners.
Gary McDonald's had a tough weekend. They had a leaking gearbox oil seal. They missed the first practice session. They had a small fuel fire in practice too, so you get all the bad luck out of the way nice and early and things come good in the races.
Get on with it. Excuses.
Have a look at this for a fight. Hodges is back on the road. Ben Dunn is out wide in the Storage King Falcon. And the Kiwi kid, the reigning New Zealand new champ, is on his way through the order. Started from 16th. Ben Dunn chasing this car, rebuilt since a crash at Winton. Yokohama replay at turn 1. Look at Nandy Kiss down the outside. 3-2, no chance.
What happened there is there was contact between Brad Patton and McNally, which forced Patton over into Nandy Kiss.
This is with Patton.
Boom, contact from McNally. McNally presses on with the game, and Patton and Nandy Kiss are left with all the damage.
And this was what happened to Reece McNally on that first lap while running second. The young West Aussie makes a mistake, and then Steve Hodges, same corner, does the same thing.
You can just see the brake lock-ups as they come into the turn. The inside front gets light. They just needed to come off the brake just slightly.
And there's the contact that damaged the right front of Craig Dontis' car. The Thirsty Camel Commodore is out. Oh, gee, what's going on here? Oh, this is the Willis and Millett incident. I can't keep up.
Which left Millett there, of course, in the way of the oncoming Giannis Derhams. Oh, massive brake lock-up from Greg Willis. That's what caused that. When the brakes are locked, Freddie, you can't turn.
Giannis Derhams joins in on the fun in the Mango Media Commodore. Back in the top end with the Yokohama V8 Utes. It's race 2 from Hidden Valley, and Andrew Fisher started from 14th. The Jesus Falcon has just picked up 8th spot from Ben Dunn and had to go the long way on the DBA in-car.
And how's the head shake from Andrew Fisher? He's not happy about having to show any compassion to the yellow Storage King Falcon, Ben Dunn.
New backing for Andrew this weekend. Gloria Jean's Coffee have got on board. No jokes about loaves and fishes, though.
Leaving that one right alone. Nice smooth gear changes from Andrew Fisher, and you just saw that he gapped Dunn in the gear change.
Kim Jane there, fresh back from a trip to the US to check out some NASCAR racing action. We jump with the pacemaker in car. Jack Elsgood locked up in front. We're making a move on Paul Williams, while Ben Dunn's making a move of his own, and it's not a good one.
I hate being a commentator in this sim racing sometimes. I mean, I didn't know whether to call that Williams was being passed by Elsgood. There was some guy off in the bush. Suddenly we come off turn 1 3 wide.
Have a look at this. Kovacs on the inside. Jane around the outside, but he's pulled that move off. So Kim Jane, who started from 15, has just taken 4th place.
And another solid move by Chris Pither. Just pushed Charlie wide, off into the marbles. No power down for Charlie. Thank you very much. And it wouldn't be Charlie's car without a mirror and a bumper hanging off, would it?
Or a mustache hanging off the front of it. That is a flag for David Cedars in the Newlon Falcon. And that's the bad sportsmanship flag. That's been given for blocking.
And well, he's on screen now. I bet he's filthy. Oh, filthy, all right. Look at him jamming down the inside. Bang! Get into it! Now the drag race down the straight. He has complained about top-end power in his one Steel Falcon. That's the white one against the black rock star of Gray. Who has more grunt?
Well, I reckon it's Jeremy Gray at the moment. He's got his nose in front, but he's on the wrong side of this 1.1 kilometre front straight. Elsgood making a move on Steve Hodges. And look at Grant Johnson. He's going to follow him through. He's going to follow him through, all right. He knows this championship battle will run right through to the end. You're talking about first and second in the championship, and Johnson does not want to let him get away. Up through this right-left flick, and then it's hard under brakes. Into this right-hander that leads into what really is dubbed the valley section of the track. But don't forget, Gary McDonald is the race leader. He's pulling away from Scott Jennings. There is the margin. Plenty of lockups going on down at the hairpin, and Pither and Kovacs are back into it. Well, we saw a lap before where Pither went up the inside of Kovacs. There was a bit of contact, and Charlie, we know Charlie. Tit for tat, brother. Pither better watch his back. Look at Royal Harris's car. It's got some damage to the left front of the number 58 Commodore. Missed the last round at Winton, but back in action this weekend as we ride on board the Extreme Clutches in-car with Kim Jane. Look at Royal Harris making the big dive. Right on Scott Jennings, but the thing is there, if you don't get the move done, you slow yourself down. And we're about to see what happens when you do that. Kim Jane in the Bob Jane T-Marts. Look at the power difference now. And that's all because Royal Harris had a good crack at Scott Jennings, but because it didn't come off, easy thing down the straight for Kim Jane to get past him. And next on the list is Scott Jennings in the NT Shipping Commodore, which is prepared by Paul Morris Motorsport, back on board with Chris Pither. Had a quick test of this car at Eastern Creek since the last round and really mixing it up with the Aussies. But his teammate is out in front. McDonald has kicked away. And the Holdens this weekend, they've had a few minor changes to the braking, the suspension package, just to improve the braking and their cornering efficiency, and it seems to be working. Any assistance you can get with brakes at Hidden Valley at the end of that 1.1 kilometre main straight is always going to be beneficial. But how about Scott Jennings? Gets great support from up here. Northern Territory Shipping as his major sponsor there in the blue Holden. Always good support at this event. And for him to be running in the top three is great. And he's actually not a Territorian, but they simply adopt him every year up here. Well, Scott is one of the hardest working teams and drivers in this category with his sponsors. He's always on the hunt for the sponsor, always turns up with an impeccably presented car. And again, this weekend is no different. I reckon he's got a problem, though, because Kim Jane started from 15th in this race. He is up to 3rd, and it's only half race distance. Not only that, if you look at Kim Jane's car, both mirrors are still intact, both headlights are still there, there's barely any damage. It means you can actually get positions in this category without tearing your car apart. Well, remember what he said in race 1 after that contact with Pither about the aggressive racing. He's just been scything his way through them, and he's going to get second place from Jennings at turn 1. So this has been a wonderful drive from Kim Jane. He's on the charge, and the next man on his list is Gary McDonald. This is the view from Jack Elsgood's Cooper's Clear Falcon, looking back at Grant Johnson. These two are fighting for the championship, but they're also fighting for some room in race 2 as they work their way through the order. And on the Yokohama replay while we were away, check this move out. This was good, round the outside. And if Jack Elsgood hadn't have dropped the wheel in the dirt there, you saw the dust, it would have been on through turn 4, turn 5, and we would have had a prime view from Fisher's car. But now we return to Chris Pither making another move, this time on Royal Harris in the white hole. A couple of young guns with a bit of damage to both cars. We jump back with Kim Jane, the Extreme Clutches in-car, and he has caught the leader. What a drive from the former NASCAR champ. He is really on the money, Kim Jane. He's got a long time between drinks when it comes to getting some race wins on the board. I've got a feeling that he's the man for this one. He's really applying the pressure to Gary McDonald now, who's running wide. But you listen to the gear changes, nice and smooth. Gentle.
gentle. There's 3 laps to go. You can guarantee the crew will be on the radio saying, hey, you've got up there this far without any damage, without any problems. Take your time.
Hats off too to Scott Jennings, who is not far away from them. He's managed to really hang on to them. Look at Johnson using all of the road on the exit of the hairpin. He's through on Andrew Fisher. So what he's trying to do is put some cars between he and Jack Elsgood. But back to the front, Kim Jane, turn 14. Is it on? Has a think about it.
One of the more experienced campaigners. We talked about the need to be decisive in that move. And Gary McDonald's really feeling the pressure. You just saw the wheels again drop off into the dirt.
6 litres of Holden's finest.
And you can see the split in lap times. Each lap, as he's got closer, he's going...
Oh, thought about it.
As he's got closer each lap, he's been fast. The gap has got bigger between the lap speed, between Gary McDonald in the blue Holden, Kim Jane in the Bob Jane sponsored Holden.
So what you're trying to say is he's coming on strong.
Absolutely, and McDonald is feeling the pressure.
Now the question is, where does Kim launch the move? He's had a couple of looks here and there.
I reckon he's lining him up now for the hairpin. Listen to the power down. Both of them ran wide. No, he's not close enough this time.
Lap car up in front might play a part.
Touch, touch. How good is this? Slight miss gear change from Kim Jane there. You just see Gary McDonald edging away.
He's just lost a little bit of time. McDonald is able to buy himself some breathing space through this third and final sector where there's not really any passing opportunities unless you launch the cheeky one here at turn 14, but he's not as close as he was last time around.
And look at that, Kim Jane is super strong as they break there. They both pick up the apex perfectly. A little bit more dust and ripple strip on the exit from McDonald. Wipe the sweat off the brow. Now we have a good time for a rest.
And look at Scott Jennings. He is not going away at all. Third spot for the NT Shipping Commodore. Back behind him, Chris Pither and Ryle Harris have been getting stuck into it. And look at Harris's car, it's falling apart.
And Pither too is feeling the pressure. Both McDonald and Pither in the ice-cold coffee Commodores are feeling pressure from the guys right behind. And now at this back end of the race, 13 or 14 laps, the tyres are toasted. These Yokohamas are tearing up in this heat, and you see them locking up brakes.
Andrew Fisher here is the best of the Fords. The Holdens are absolutely smashing them in race 2. Back with Jane. And he's just putting that pressure on. Bit of a lock-up from Jennings. That's a great drive. Have to say it again. He is going blow for blow with the best drivers in the category.
No doubt about it. But right now, the focus has to be on these two guys. Jim Beam battle pack indeed. McDonald, I don't know, he must be about 95 years old. He's been around forever. He knows how to handle this pressure. Can he do it for 1 lap and 3 more corners?
Kim Jane's been the 4-man. Remember, he started 15th. Gary McDonald started from 11th.
Both again pick up that apex perfectly. Watch for the bit of dust. No, good exit from McDonald.
And staying out of the way is George Elliott, the Victoria Coffee Commodore. Does the right thing. He's going to let these boys fight it out. He's, of course, teammates with Kim Jane, but he's not going to become a factor.
Now Jane just in the toe, closing up. Big under brakes. Big
Here comes
under
the
brakes.
McDonald tries to cover it, but Kim Jane on the last lap has smoked his way through and got to the lead. What a drive and what a move.
Fantastic move, all right, but 13 corners to go. McDonald hasn't been winning this race so far by luck. Can he apply the pressure and force Jane into a mistake?
There's Scott Jennings, third spot. Elliott 1 lap down. Chris Pither up to 4th, started from 16th. That's a great drive. Grant Johnson's carved his way through from 18th. He's got by Ryle Harris. There's Charlie Kovacs with the green-eyed monster. Elsgood and Fisher. Here's Paul Williams. Steve Hodges from the front row of the grid. Then it's Ben Dunn, Jeremy Gray, and that looks like Greg Willis just limping around in the Grow Fruit Juice's Falcon. But Kim Jane is on his way home, and he's got a bit of a margin too. Oh,
that is just a cracking job. At this level of competition, to come from that far back, to come and time your race so well that you get into the lead, turn 1, last lap, and then to build that gap on that last lap as if to rub his nose in it, isn't it?
We reversed the top 18 cars from race 1. Kim Jane started deep in the pack.
And cheer you should, Kim Jane. That was an awesome job.
Don't worry about the number 2. It's a great drive.
It was a great drive, and Kim Jane picks up a win in the top end. A couple of years ago, he was rolling down the road here. This is a bit of a change.
Good change for him indeed. Better to be winning than on your roof.
Commodores fill the top 7 spots. Jack Elsgood, best of the Fords from Andrew Fisher, with Paul Williams rounding out the top 10.
Well, Kim Jane, fantastic result, 15th to 1st. You just sliced your way through that field.
Well, you know, wasn't what we were planning at the start of the race. We were sort of planning to survive first and, you know, hopefully pick up a few spots and try and stay in front of Grant and Jack behind us. But, you know, there was people, that first lap was pretty wild, and even the second lap was pretty wild, and there was cars flying off everywhere. And, you know, I think Steve Hodges was leading. He ran off the track, and, you know, so a lot of it was handed to us. But, you know, the last 4 or 5 cars was hard work. But, you know, that last lap was a dream, really.
Well, you've been rewarded with a front row start for the final race.
Well, that should be great. We'll try and give it to Grant as much as we can.